graphics tablet.
When you say set up, you mean plug it into a device.
Yeah. I just mean use.
Anyway, welcome to the Springfield Cast, aka Cast 11, Maggie Cast, aka Christmas special of some kind for some reason. So, shall we start by having Commander Darren Spider and his cousin Larchin Crepsley Spider sing the theme tune?
Sure.
Would you rather be Darren or Larchin Crepsley?
I will be... Which one do I normally do?
Oh, it's hard to say.
You usually say the name, don't you?
Okie dokie. Maggie.
Margaret Evelyn Lenny Simpson.
Maggie.
Daddily.
Doodly Frostimo.
Maggie.
Angry, drunk, and...
Whistler.
Maggie.
Future dirt bike racist.
Maggie.
Will shoot you from the bathroom.
Maggie.
Scandinavian heritage.
Maggie.
Mom of Maggie Jr.
Maggie.
Anne Rand alumni.
Bonsoir, guten Abend, konbanwa, and Misa ir Kair. We are the antiquarians, Lawrence M. Nightingale and Flimsy Rosewater. Where is our father, Anton? We, liquor of dusty tomes, located in the bowels of the disused stadium in Springfield Park and down the tunnels to the town hall of Lee, employed to put Simpsons files in spotty archive to haphazardly document the lives of Springfield's backwaters, haunted by an outside which it circles but can never fully acknowledge.
Thanks to our cousins, MIA, over at the MFIMDB for promoting the show. We are the professionals here and safe from all harm.
Now, I know you don't like diverging personal info, Lawrence, but we know you're a distant cousin of Bigfoot and you have no blood and you have a disdain for cabbage and shellfish people. But what else could you tell us about yourself?
I own a post office in the Irish town of Cork.
And I'm Flimsy Rosewater, ribbon aficionado. With so many ribbon types to choose from, my go-to ribbon this week is twill tape. Twill tape features a diagonal or zigzag weave that provides great strength and support. It can be made from any variety of cotton or synthetic fibres and is usually found in white or other neutral tones. We love using twill tape as a basic solution for projects such as binding the edge of garments. Lawrence, please tell me you check the circle every quarter of an hour.
The circle remains intact. Fortresses to defend the operators.
Look, can you see over there? There's Darren Spider. What sang our song? What's he up to?
Oh yes, he's just in the dust with his usual outfit, his plumes and his cheek guards, and his blue blood all over his spear. Why are you guarding the salt?
Is it still a secret?
Yes.
Oh, and there's our cat, Baroness Berry the Vale of Catmore, Hyperintendent. What do you know of free schools, multi-academy trusts, faith schools and counter-extremism, Baroness?
It's been hit and miss last decade. Meow. Baroness will not be interrupted.
And over there in the third corner is the magic queer folk, the mice, having some kind of spiritual event.
Oh yeah, cute. And they've got tiny cute pigs and they are saying something.
They are, aren't they? They're saying, let's listen carefully. We will burn you, we will murder you, we will rub you in ointment. They've got the king. We talked about the king last time. He's on a tiny little throne and they're carrying him around. What can we see?
Oh yes, the king seems to be a too fuzzy magnifying glass.
Yeah, he's definitely a little human type with a beard though.
I see. I thought he was a magnifying glass.
Oh, and as always, we've got a letter from Kerr Vonnegut. Would you like to read this one?
Sure, while it's Christmas. Dear Drake, Merry Christmas. May we no longer be given to psychosis. For those who believe in life as his identity are in flux. Success is love. Love is movement and stillness. I am writing this letter today in a spectrum of awareness to congratulate those big, undreamed of things my champion. Delicious, charming, commendable as the clapping olives. My 9 children, the farmhands, the sanitary agents applaud us. Love, Curtis.
It seems like maybe he's extending a Christmas olive branch to Drake. Have you given Drake any of the letters so far?
I have not.
Oh,
and he asked about them, and I just said that he hasn't sent any.
Oh, my goodness. And Drake's still living with Josh Brolin, Hartnett Holloway, and Father John Misty?
Yes, that is correct. And also now Josh Widdicombe.
I'm writing all this down. That's what that tapping sound is. Right, so today, let's get down to business anyway. Enough of this nonsense. Today, we're looking at Maggie Simpson, our biggest ever, and also our smallest, wink, wink, character. I'm going to read you some cast connections. You can tell me you can see any. Death.
Not really. She has tried to cause death a few times.
Glasses.
No glasses, but she does have a bow on her face that helps to distinguish her.
She does. School.
No school. Occasionally, some kind of toddler concentration camp.
Cool and uncool.
Twice. Yeah, I would say Maggie's pretty cool.
Mobbers and non-mobbers.
She is not a mobber. She is unaware of the context of the mobs, probably.
Bringing back characters to annoy Granning.
If this is the case, they've done a pretty good job with Maggie.
I don't think it is. I think it's quite the opposite. I think he likes Maggie. In fact, he apparently for a long time did the dummy sucking sounds, right, originally.
Yes, indeed. I will say that Maggie is a good Christmas character because she feels wholesome, and also not even within the Simpsons, just within the zeitgeist, as Mel would say. She's probably like one of the biggest mutes of all time, biggest television mutes. And she's also probably the Simpsons character with the least lines, but also the most people doing her voice.
That's true. How many people have done her voice?
Probably about 5 or 6. We'll find out later. Including
Elizabeth Taylor and James Earl Jones.
And Jodie Foster.
Wow. Love Connection is the last cast connection.
She has a rivalry with the one-eyebrow baby that we don't really see much here, and it's implied in a couple of flash forwards that they eventually marry, but that's about it.
Well, here's some biographical information that I wrote down. First voiced by Elizabeth Taylor in season 4. She was born in June the 16th, 1989, which makes her 32 years old, as we know.
Yeah.
Violent mannerisms and a large physical strength. And she turned 1 during season 5. She's currently 1 year old. Shot Mr. Burns, but also gave him Bobo.
Yeah.
Her enemy is the one-eyed eyebrow baby Gerald, as you've pointed out. During the Simpsons movie, she stabbed Mr. Teeny with broken glass.
I don't think she stabbed him. She threatened to stab him.
I'd like to think she stabbed him off screen.
Yeah,
she secretly knows how to read. She bowled a perfect game at bowling. A 9-year-old Maggie, looks exactly like Lisa. She became a future rock star and astronaut, and her full name is Margaret Maggie Granning.
That's not true.
That's not true.
I would say that at any age, she looks like Lisa.
No, but there's a picture of some kind of flash forward when she's 9, and it literally is like she looks exactly the same as Lisa in every way.
If you take the bow and the dummy out, it is just Lisa. You can't tell them apart.
She's a little bit smaller.
Except for one of them, the baby.
So Margaret Maggie Granning is Matt Granning's younger sister, and he took the name. And some of the character traits from her, as in she wore a sleep suit and sucked on a pacifier. Apparently she's French, Native American, Scandinavian heritage. And a person on the wiki page suggested maybe she could have autism.
That's more of a Todd Flanders situation.
TFS.
Yes. Yeah, that is some good biographical information. I just held off on getting any info because I knew you would cover some, and I probably just have some in my brain anyway.
That's great. But, what about a little scum?
So we only found out her middle name was Lenny in the 700th episode, at the same time that you find out Todd's middle name is Homer.
Like a joke, right?
Yes, just like a joke.
I don't know. I just like him. What appeals to you about Maggie Simpson?
She's an interesting one. Sometimes she is my favourite family member. Sometimes she is entirely forgettable. She's the most sort of self-aware of 5 sometimes. And she sometimes acts as like a fourth wall breaker, which we see in one of these clips, actually, where she just looks directly at the camera and interacts with us as an audience. So it is like she is a 32-year-old baby. She doesn't act necessarily like a baby too often, but I do like it when she does. It's the same as when Santa's little helper acts like a dog. It's sort of funnier than when he acts like a dog in a cartoon. And that was I think Granning, whatever we're going to call him, said that early on. He didn't want the animals to act like cartoon animals. And I think you can apply that to the babies too.
Babies either do fantastical things or they do babyish things. And both of those are cool. cool.
Maggie turned 1 in season 5, as you said, and she had a point about that, but I've forgotten it. She is 1.
She is one.
Yeah. Some of the other babies, like the octuplets, were born season 11, and then they aged them up 5 seasons later for some reason. And I think they did that with Selma's baby too. So they sort of have, if they bring in another baby, they remain a baby for a while and then get aged up to be slightly older than Maggie, it seems. But Maggie remains a constant. I am Ken Barlow, and I am the only constant in your life.
What ranking are you putting Maggie at?
She has to be an A, pretty bog standard answer, but she is one of the 5 central characters of this TV show. She's been in every episode, bar maybe 1 or 2.
Does that make her an A-lister when she doesn't really do anything in most episodes? She's just there.
I would say so. I don't know. I think she gets enough storylines with a different person. What is interesting to me, though, is we're on season 33. We've seen Marge go to prison about 8 times. They've been to every continent. They met Steve Coogan on a boat in Antarctica. They do all these things, but they've still yet to do an episode about Bart and Maggie together. I don't remember that.
One of the things I read were that she does help him out from time to time. One where he was accused of a prank he didn't pull, and she helped him out. But that's just part of a plot, really. There hasn't been like you say, it doesn't seem to have been a Bart Maggie-centric episode.
No, and they've spent time with Marge and Maggie, obviously. You don't see a lot of Marge and Maggie stories. You just see them together a lot. If she does get a story, it tends to be with Homer, which happens in a lot of these clips. She has more interactions with Lisa, but you don't see a great deal of Bart and Maggie stuff. And I'd say Maggie is an amalgamation of Bart and Lisa. She has Lisa's sort of smarts and intelligence, but she's got Bart's sort of
violence.
Dennis the Menace-ness.
Is she a pointless character then?
Not at all. I'd say she's entirely, just within the story, she's pointful in the sense that she's the reason that Homer needs to be working at the power plant and can't be enjoying his life.
I guess so. And, they do make that clear, don't they?
Yes. And I don't know, I think the show would have not changed excessively without her, but it would have been different. And it wouldn't have been as much of a representation of a generic, lower middle class America family.
She's the
in the
0.5, isn't she? The joke is 2.5 children, so she's the 0.5.
Yeah, and it's just typical of a TV show like that to have a baby.
Oh yeah. If they didn't have a baby, that's the one thing they can introduce very easily, right?
Yeah, that can be done. I'm still partly surprised they don't have another baby. I could have seen that.
Her up.
Yeah, just as a stunt, because you could do that and then just barely see the new baby. It wouldn't be a big change. It wouldn't be like bringing Roy into the house.
So if you think of when the Flintstones, they had Pebbles and Bam Bam eventually, and then they aged them up to teenagers, and they've occasionally aged them back and stuff. It must be tempting to age up Maggie at least a little bit and have her like a little bit of a toddler, but then maybe, because it is all kind of gag based and short episodes, maybe there's not really anything that they can't already do with Lisa and Bart that they could do by aging up Maggie. Again, Malcolm in the Middle scenario.
It would change the dynamic because she would be able to interact vocally with them. And I think the second that she starts talking is
it's done.
I imagine to the Simpsons head honchos, that would be the ultimate shark jump. It would change the landscape of the show because they would have this. It would sort of be like, okay, we've got 33 seasons where Maggie doesn't talk, and then we've got 22 seasons where she does.
Flim flam.
Yeah, exactly. And the Simpsons are not allowed to make permanent changes unless it involves the firing of a different Maggie.
Very good. Shall we get into the content?
Yes, I fear we should, because I'd like to just say we haven't really talked about Christmas at all yet.
Good. Let's keep it that way.
Yes. Christmas doesn't exist in this corner of the universe, but Maggie felt like a wholesome Christmassy character, and Maggie in that little orange suit reminds me of Christmas a lot.
Very sweet. We'll put some sleigh bells over it. No, any different. Yeah. Clip 1, Season 6, Episode 14. And Maggie makes 3. They're in the operating theatre, the birthing room. Hibbert, with a flat top, says 1 more push should do it. Homer, dejected, looks down. Marvellous, he says. Then baby Maggie sounds, congratulations, my Simpson. You have a beautiful, healthy baby. A very sad thumbs up from Homer. Oh, baby Maggie grabs his thumb. Tiny Maggie is clean and not crying. She turns to Marge with straggly hair. She's smiling at Homie. I think someone is saying hello. He waves a little sheepishly. Then she looks back. Oh, it's a boy. And he leans in. What a boy, Dick joke. That's the umbilical cord, says Hibbert. It's a girl, and hands her over. Sweet Simpsons music plays. Homie sits with Maggie. A girl. Marge, we have a wonderful baby girl. Not just a girl, the most beautiful baby girl in the whole world. Marge sighs. She is tired. Come on, Marge. Show a little enthusiasm, says Homer. He's enthusiastic now. They smooch, and Maggie pretends to smooch. And she grabs the classic dummy and starts chomping. Cut to today. The Simpsons sat on couch in classic mode. So you loved her right from the start, says Lisa. Homie puts his arm around Marge and tickles Maggie's chin. He. Yeah, absolutely. An angry Bart demands, then why no pictures? Oh, there are pictures. I keep them where I need the most, cheering up a soft Simpsons music theme. We see pictures of Maggie, and we see Homer's wall of his workplace and the do it for her sign. End.
Yeah. Best Simpsons scene ever, perhaps.
It's a good one. It's a heartwarming one, for sure.
Yeah, this is what they stray away from these days. They don't like going this
Schmaltz.
like cheesy, but without overdoing it. Like, there isn't a joke in the end of this scene. It's just nice. The joke is kind of that Homer doesn't care about Maggie that much. Like, he forgets her all the time. Like, he kind of just forgets about her. There's the one where he's in court and he's I think it's about being an unfit parent, and he says, who the hell is Margaret Simpson? And there's a couple of other ones. There's one where he nearly sits on her. It might be in this episode where he nearly sits on her because he forgets that she's on the couch. But it's a very touching. This is probably the biggest Maggie episode early on, and this sort of establishes why she's necessary, story-wise, or like why they're in the situation they're in. Like, they could just about make ends meet. Homer worked at the bowling alley, and that was sort of fine when he just had that and Lisa. But then when the wife of Ned Flanders, Maud, announced to Homer that he would be having a third baby. What do you mean, ka-ching?
just testing it out, just in case we need it later.
I see. She dropped the bombshell that he was having a third baby, and he realised he had to go back to his old job. Marge didn't consider getting one, but she was busy having the baby. But it's just a beautiful scene, and this is one of those times. This is what Maggie's there for, to sort of be she's the one that the other 4 sort of agree on. None of them ever really dislike Maggie. They're all sort of there to look out for her, and she's probably keeping them together.
They're all doing it for her.
They are, and you never see that sign again.
No, don't forget you're here forever is what I think it originally said.
That is correct. And a very, very nice moment to kick off the Christmas special.
It's all downhill from here.
Yes, the actual birth stuff, the pacifier origin is quite cute.
Where did it come from? She just randomly grabs it from in front of her. What did Marge just have one? Did Marge just have one on her bed, just randomly lying?
I did wonder that. She just does grab into the side of where the bed is and pulls out a pacifier. But I'm pretty sure they've redone that origin as well about 4 times as to why she likes having a pacifier.
Oh, okay.
But it's also funny when you put, on occasion when Lisa or Maggie, ka-ching, Lisa or Bart have been given the pacifier, how shockingly it makes them just look like a big Maggie. Even Bart, like just the face becomes big Maggie.
Genetics,
and that's good. And sure, there's plenty more to say about this scene, but I didn't make notes because I didn't want it to last 3 hours.
Good, true. Season 1, episode 1. Simpsons roasting on an open fire. It's snowing. Opening. Ooh, careful, Homer, says badly rendered Marge as the car skids round the snowy streets. There's no time to be careful, we're late, says Homie. They're approaching the school. He leaves the car in a random place. Sign says, Annual Christmas Pageant, Springfield Elementary School, 5 stars, Springfield Gazette. Maggie is in her classic starfish body warmer, bright red. That's it. We get like a second of her walking across the screen being held in a very strange way, almost like a a box by her mother.
Yeah, I cheated a little bit here. This is technically Maggie's first appearance, but it's her first appearance within the Simpsons TV show, not ever. As the shorts have been going on for like a year at this point, I think. But she looks ridiculous. It's not really explained how she's that shape compared to how she's normally, seen in
They
a
don't
little.
really explain those things, do they? They don't really have a little
No.
like, footnotes.
This sort of looks like she's inside some little weird contraption, like that Da Vinci picture.
Oh yeah,
The
maybe
arms
that's
and
the
legs.
reference.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reference. Her arms are like straight out.
Yeah, it's like
it
she's
does
being
make sense.
held up by the suit. But
Yes.
I like that the suit looks like Maggie. Like it looks like Maggie's head.
Oh, I guess it does, doesn't it?
I assumed that's why it was done, because it doesn't. They've crammed Maggie into a suit that looks uncomfortable, but also looks exactly the same shape as her head. So
I
it would have
think
been
it's
more
just ridiculous. I didn't get that it was a deliberate reference to her own head, but I'll give you that. Although I would have thought they'd have made it bright yellow, but that would have been confusing, maybe.
This would also be, I don't know if this exists, it probably does, but it would be a very cute action figure to have this little star Maggie. It would be a good tree decoration.
What would you call that? Like a sleeping suit or something?
I just said like a bodysuit, or just sort of what you throw a baby in when it's cold. Like a onesie. She invented the onesie 15 or 16 years before Primark did.
You can buy a version of it on
For a baby.
On eBay for a baby, yeah, if you wanted to.
Fantastic.
But I don't think it's got like the whatever bars would need to be inside it to keep. No,
you'd have to do that yourself.
You'd have to attach the steel supports yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But no, this one I cheated because one, it's Christmas, so that helps to keep things on track. First ever Simpsons episode, which we've not yet looked at any point. We have. We did it in the Toddcast. It's just sort of strange to see this scene. It's like when you rewatch those first episodes, it's so sort of mild. Like the stakes are mild, the comedy's mild, like the character vocal deliveries are mild. Lisa does that whole thing on stage. That's always sort of stuck with me as like a memory of this episode where Lisa does that sort of like tribal dance.
Oh yeah.
And she's essentially not wearing any clothes and it's very jarring. And like you cut to like now and like just the way the animation looks and the voices and everything and how established the characters are. Like it must have been strange to see this little starfish baby walk into this scene and not have any context for it. Whereas now this would just be like, oh yeah, it's Maggie in her little orange suit. For all they knew, this was how Maggie was going to look permanently.
Yeah, I guess this is the first time you saw her, and it's weird that she's not in her usual get-up. So we're introduced to her in an alternative costume, but still a cool one.
Yeah, we have seen her before, but only, again, whoever's watched the Tracy Ullman show will be relatively familiar with her. But this new audience that they're trying to get to, this will be their first.
That was me. I was in that new audience.
Yes. Did you watch this as it happened, or
no? I think we've talked about this before. I don't think it came out. So it was on Sky TV in England, and I think it did come out in 1990-ish. But I think it was 6 months to a year after it'd come out in America. Maybe, who knows? Tell us.
It was already.
If you're one of the handful of people listening to this, Google it and tell us.
Yeah.
To save us having to do that.
Exactly. What a boy.
Clip 3. Season 2, Episode 9, Itchy, Scratchy and Marge. Psycho Strings. Maggie is over the top of Homer with a hammer. He has some sort of homemade bad spice rack. He screams and his tongue goes like a worm. Maggie smacks him on the head with a hammer. The spice rack falls and Maggie scarpers. Homie pulls the tablecloth. There is a tin of paint on the table. It pulls and it looks like a shower curtain ripping. The paint falls. Homer falls and the paint runs red like red blood. Yeah, this goes on a bit longer. The Psycho parody sort of finishes out, but I didn't think we needed it. Quite cool though. Quite a cool parody. Early parody. Unrelated to Maggie, but where the hell is this scene happening? Like what room is this? Because there's stairs leading down to it, but it's not the basement. It can't be the garage. I smell a inconsistent room where they probably didn't think, this room's going to be discussed 33 years from now and our show will still be on and Apu will be nowhere to be seen. I guess that's definitely three things they didn't consider when designing willy-nilly a new room in the house.
I believe Hank Azaria's direct quote was something like, "This is going to piss off the Indians, but I'll do it."
And that was when he was asked about the room. So who knows what he would have said had he been asked directly about Indian Man Apu.
Yes, they had to stop him from doing the accent for comic book guy and Chief Wiggum too.
Can we make him comic book Indian?
Is there a reason the Chief of Police can't be insensitive, Jake?
Is there a reason the Chief of Police can't be Chinese?
Yes, exactly.
Said Hank Azaria.
He called me Chief Piggum. I can't remember what episode that's from. That's funny. Oh, it's Sergio Bob. Cape Fear. He called me Chief Piggum.
Very hurtful, that Bob, isn't he? Still, we digress. I couldn't get why when he pulled the tablecloth off or something, it was a shower curtain, but maybe it's one of those little curtains that like covers your tools.
That's just so they can rip off Psycho, isn't it? There's not really.
I know that. I know that full and well. I'm just trying to make it make some sense to me, the average punter.
Yeah, I don't know. I would agree that it seems to be a curtain to hide the tools, but it is just so they could have easily found another way to make it logical. But I like this clip because this is Maggie's first act of violence that we see, and it seems relatively
hinged.
Well, yes, but also not malicious. Like, she's acting like a baby. She's basically seen violence on Itchy and Scratchy and then recreated it, and that's why Marge and Maud and Helen kick off about Itchy and Scratchy.
Ka-ching.
Because of this. Yes, exactly. But not. So yeah, that stems from this, of her just hitting Homer on the head. It wouldn't have been funny at all, this scene, if she'd done it to Marge. It would have just played as sort of like vicious and sad. But that's because Homer, we're used to seeing Homer
always takes a beating, right?
Yeah, not that much in the early ones. Like, look, like this, a mallet to the head does him damage in this episode, and then like half a season later, he's falling down a gorge twice.
And then there's one where he's being punched repeatedly in the head by the world heavyweight champion of the world.
Yes,
with no ill effects.
Yeah,
except for the brain damage.
So that's Maggie. This is Maggie being impressionable. This is Maggie fulfilling the role she's supposed to have. She's the baby. Like, this story wouldn't have worked with Bart and Lisa because they're too old to have that sort of like. The point is Maggie's doing this and she doesn't understand why she's doing it or why it's bad. Yes. Also, she runs off at the bottom of the stairs somewhere, and it looks like she's at the bottom of the stairs in the house, and it doesn't make sense to me.
They've obviously got another room that has another stairs, but they decided at some point around that season to fill it in. They didn't need two rooms downstairs.
No, that is accurate.
Anyway, Ian, if you're listening, here, Max Stone Graham, if you're listening, maybe you can send us a MSN messenger and tell us why.
Yes, nudge us.
Season 11, episode 6. Hello, Gutter. Hello, Father. Homer is at the seaside. He is drowning. Maggie is on the shore with water wings pink. Maggie, call Aquaman, shouts Homer. She looks determined and steps in the water, but it is cold, so she takes a step back. Homer goes under a second time. She becomes determined, steps in, put her hands into a mini dive, paddles very quickly towards her drowning father. Homer is several meters under the surface as Maggie swims down, grabs his collar and pulls him to the surface. He has passed out but regains consciousness after she slaps him. He splutters out water and a fish. Maggie, you're swimming, he says. You swam out to save me. She rolls her eyes back as Homer sinks again. She dives down, grabs his collar. Oh, you do love me. Triumphant music as she pulls him back to the shore.
Nice. Now, this is the opposite of what we've just said about the last scene. Like, this is not Maggie acting like a baby.
No, there's nothing babyish about this. It's stretching credulity to the very limit.
Yes, she's fully aware of what's going on and the context of everything, and she's processing it like an adult. Like, we're seeing Maggie here just like a regular Springfield character. She just doesn't have the capability of speech, but she understands what's happening, and she even has the sort of overcoming an obstacle, because earlier in this episode, this is a very good Maggie episode. This is one of the best Homer and Maggie stories, I would say. And if it had been a few seasons earlier, it probably wouldn't have ended this wackily. But Hibbert says something about if a parent is in danger, babies can like exhibit superhuman strength. which is how they get around this. But
Foreshadows it. Post-shadows it.
yeah, I would say this is one of the first times we've seen Maggie scared of anything. Seems like she's got a fear of water, which is probably like dismissed in the future or the past,
It
and
will
on
not
a
last
whim.
long. Yes, on a whim. Just thrown away whenever it no longer suits the
Precisely.
suits.
And here's something that is an odd thing to bring up, but is also true. We hardly ever see Maggie's legs and feet. This will be one of the only occasions in which you see Maggie with feet, as she is.
She has quite normal feet. Quite normal legs and feet, really.
Yeah, the joke, I imagine they could have gone, if The Simpsons had run for like 2 seasons or something, and originally they wanted Marge to have like bunny ears, didn't they, underneath the hair. There's no reason that Maggie couldn't have been a little Magdalena Turnbull and had like 8 little legs in that suit.
Well, she does, doesn't she, in at least one of the clips today?
She does eventually, but yeah, I imagine that probably would have been a little gag early on. And
a
then
little
they just
cloven hooves.
Yeah, something. Just no legs at all. Just like sort of like whatever the shape of that suit is just the shape of the bottom half of her body.
Oh yeah,
like a slug. But yeah, so you see her feet. But no, this is her acting as if she was a conscious adult, and that's sort of more interesting, but less in character or less believable is probably the wrong word at this point.
I mean, of course, had she acted like a regular baby, she would have simply stood on the shore and watched her father drown.
Yes,
Watch him come up for her for the second and then the third time, and then no more, as the ambulance arrived minutes too late.
We could use this as a frame for this. Implies that Maggie sort of always understands the context of what's going on. So she's playing into being a baby sometimes, which means she's incredibly smart. But it's always sort of been established, even very early on, that she's the smartest of the 5. Like, she's probably smarter than Lisa. She's just at a disadvantage because she's a year old.
Permanently a year old. We do see that come up in a later clip too as well, right?
Yes, forever one, like that close shot.
Forever one. I like the part where she slaps him across the face and the fish kind of splatters out of his mouth.
Yeah, very cartoony, very like her rolling her eyes at the situation.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's these are things that only started happening around season 11, but we're here for them.
That's what we're here for. We like the realistic baby stuff, and we like the shark jumping, father saving, slapping baby stuff.
Jackie.
Clip 5. Season 13, episode 22, Popper's got a brand new badge. Fat Tommy has a gun, clicks it and loads it and points it at Homie. But Tony is shot in the shoulder, as are his 2 henchmen. Homer is dressed as a park ranger, all in green, ? They're on the lawn of his house. Homer looks around. He's got backup, Tony says, as Marge clasps her hands together, wearing a cool headscarf. Somebody does care. We pan around. Nothing unusual. Hey, Jimmy, Tight Lips, can you see the shooter? Asks Tony. Tight Lips says, I see a lot of things. Dapper gangster. Tony says, you could be a little more helpful. There are now a lot of gangsters who have all been shot and are writhing in pain on Homer's lawn. Cut to Clancy, Homer, Marge. I must have a guardian angel with a rifle. Pan upstairs to window. Maggie with rifle. Smoking rifle. She turns and Marge is heard to say, time to check in on our little sweetie pie. She hides the rifle under the mattress, pretends to sleep, probably dreaming about the time she shot Mr. Burns, Marge says happily. Hi, he, laughs Homer. She's just like Clark Kent. When there's lots of excitement, there's nowhere to be found. Night, night, sweetie. We hear a blues gruff wire style theme playing, and Maggie looks at the camera sleepily and smiles.
Accurate. It is the theme to The Sopranos.
Ah, okay, there you go.
So, accurate. In the episode in season 11, when the kids get lost on the Lost Island, in the episode where Homer says Maud, which our cousins would love. That episode ends with a narration saying, and they were saved by, let's say Mo. And this is essentially what's happened here. They got to the end of the episode and needed a way out of it. And Maggie is the only character who can shoot people and get away with it, basically. Like, there's no in-show repercussions. Not that it would matter at this point anyway, like season 14 or whatever. That, comic book guy could have just walked in with an assault rifle and shot everybody, and it wouldn't have been, well, how come he's not going to jail? I don't think at that point the audience weren't questioning things that intensely. And
rules.
Maggie acting like, not just acting like a child, just acting like an adult with her own like moral compass and what she's comfortable doing and how she will protect her family at all costs. She's essentially hit Homer on the head in the second clip. She's doing a good job of keeping him alive other than that. And there's not a lot of Maggie and Marge in these clips. And I realise that's because they don't do a lot of story stuff for them. They're just together a lot. They don't actually get a lot of interesting stuff. It's just they are the two that are sort of always seen together. But nice little throw into Maggie shooting Mr. Burns just to remind the audience that she can shoot people and it's fine.
She's a sharpshooter, isn't she? What had led Tony to attacking Homie? What had led to this scenario is Maggie felt that she somehow had to procure a rifle and load it and shoot several of them.
I believe that Homer is now the chief of police. Homer, Lenny and Carl, something like that. They're all like policemen now and Wiggum isn't. And that's what they thought had happened, basically. Tony was irritated at the police, so he was going to just open fire on them, basically. Johnny Tightlips is a great character that will get his day in the sun.
Did Johnny Tightlips return?
Oh, yeah, he's all over the place.
Oh, excellent.
I think pretty much after this, because you see Tony with Legs and Louie a lot, and then after this you see him with the three of them basically most of the time.
Let's see how many appearances Johnny Tightlips has had. I ain't say nothing is Johnny's catchphrase.
Tell him to suck a lemon. Voiced
by Hank Azaria. Do you know that guy?
I'm unfamiliar.
He's an Indian man.
Oh,
yeah, from about season 20 onwards, he starts popping up a couple of times each season.
Oh, yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it about this one. They've got this sort of thing where Maggie has a violent streak, and it seems like she's into it. But this is, again, she just looks directly at the camera and winks at the end of this clip. So we're just
breaking that ninth wall.
Yeah. We're establishing that this isn't real, even with the Simpsons, maybe.
So Homer actually was slain on his lawn.
Yeah.
And the whole rest of the season just carried on in the head of a child.
Precisely.
Clip 6. Season 14, episode 22, Mo by Blues. Maggie is having a tea party in the Simpsons' living room with Mo. Mo is a bar made from his sofa cushions, and all her little teddies are on chairs at the bar. Mo has a bunch of baby bottles behind him. He picks up a tiny glass and starts cleaning it. Hey, Mag, he leans in. Raggedy Andy over there has been giving you the button eye. I'll get rid of him. He picks up Andy and moves him across the bar. All right, out you go. Throws him across the room. Marge returns. Finally caught up with Grandpa. I found him crying in the cemetery. Thanks for taking care of Maggie. Picks her up. Mo says, no problem. More happy hands. You know, it gave me a good feeling like when you're drunk and you fall asleep in the snow. Marge does the grumble agree. He starts to leave and Maggie is unhappy. Maggie reaches out her hands for Mo. Don't worry, Mags, I'll be back sometime. She starts to reach out and cry. The lip's gone. Wow, she really likes you, says Marge.
Cute. Very cute. Very wholesome episode again. It's a nice, they're not against this Mo needs a friend story. And in this instance, the friend was Maggie. And it's nice because it makes Mo a warmer character and it gives him something to it's just sort of like an innocent, like Maggie just likes Mo. It's just sort of an innocent. But I think she's crying in this situation because she believes he still has her nose.
Oh, okay.
So he gives her a nose back and she stops crying. But then they continue to hang out. I can't remember why they stopped. There isn't they could have just carried on this Mo and Maggie friendship, but decided not to. And just sort of sweet. Like the stuff at the start with the bar is just sort of good character stuff. Like Mo needed to look after Maggie and that's what he thought of doing. Works very nicely. This is one of those instances where Maggie is used as a tool to make somebody else look more sympathetic or nicer. Because if Maggie likes them, it means that you sort of start to like them. Mo wouldn't still like him though.
No, but he definitely he comes across as a very nice and sweet kind of chap in a way that he doesn't in most of these clips that we see.
When he has the boxing glove with barbed wire on it, they don't let you use that no more.
Smuggling pandas, no funeral.
Yes. So yeah, sort of Maggie is used here to make more human, less of a pathetic sort of character. But it starts, I forgot. The friendship starts because Maggie is somehow thrown off a bridge. I can't remember why, but Mo is literally standing to just about to jump off to his death again to end his life. And as his arms are extended, he catches Maggie, and that keeps him alive.
Oh,
So
well,
it was
guardian
a
angel,
very
innit?
true to Mo story. No funeral.
Yeah, it definitely shows a very wholesome and sweet side to everybody. And then when they sat at that bar, it's super cool. I like the cute little animals sat around, and then Mo still has to turn it slightly aggressively for no good reason and throw someone out.
He's still Mo, which is good. Mo. And Margie's line, even though she's not relevant, Margie's line is the best line in the scene. I found him crying in the cemetery. Just really sad.
Yeah, for no reason, right?
No, like
could have been
Maggie is, Mo is watching Maggie because Grandpa was running around with like a pan on his head. He shouts something like "Sayonara Dojo" and then runs off in the street, and Marge chases him.
They could have said I found him in the supermarket trying out lemons or something, but
there was many things that were less sad than finding him crying in a cemetery.
The one thing I will say for these clips is they're not the funniest. Maggie is not a funny character.
No, she is. We've definitely gone for the wholesome angle.
Clip 7. Season 15, episode 13, Smart and Smarter. The Simpsons approach Simon Cowell, ? It looks like, look who's back, Pippi non-talking, he says, hand, fingertips pressed together. He has ice water in a jug. Lisa says, just because Maggie can't talk doesn't mean she's dumb. Maggie looks on, sucking her dummy. Einstein didn't speak until he was 3, and even then he could only speak German, says Marge. Fine, I'll give her an IQ test. Stands up and clicks a stopwatch, if only to extinguish all hope. We're on the floor in the study. Green Matt Cowell has legs folded. Okay, last question, he says to Maggie. The Simpsons look on. He laughs dismissively as he says, arrange these 4 arrows to make 5. I'll remind you, you only have 15 triumphant sounds, mushy sounds. We see that Maggie has done it. She looks on. The Homers are proud. Lisa punches her and waggles fist. Oh yeah, Cowell buzzes on intercom. Philippa, I think you should come here. Severe woman with grey streak bun comes in. This better be important, Henry. She's clutching an important clipboard. I was choking on something. Meet Maggie Simpson, Cowell says. IQ 167, points hands. Severe Philippa's eyes go wide open. She throws down clipboard. 167, runs hands. That's amazing for a Christian. She hands her a shield.
That's Tress McNeil doing what she does best. Is those sort of like intense business women. That's just the Lindsay Nagel voice.
Yeah.
I do like I was choking on something.
It's either very rude or it makes no sense.
I think it just makes no sense. I think it's that sort of wacky. You can tell this is more 2000s comedy than 90s comedy, and that SpongeBob Family Guy, sort of random for the sake of being random. Programs like, what's that one with the little orange fish and the little blue fish? Gumball?
Oh, yeah.
Like that kind of just sort of wacky for the sake of being wacky. What's the weirdest thing we can say? I discussed guest stars recently, and how some are good and some are bad. And I would say this is on the side of bad.
Is it Simon Cowell?
Yeah, and it's just we're in the hype of, again, early to mid 2000s. So American Idol's just become a thing. So he's just become this big name in America, basically. Like he's become that sort of. America became obsessed with him, didn't it, because of his nastiness.
Oh yeah, nasty Nigel.
I think so. Instead of doing what all Simpsons would have done, which would have been like a clever, they would have made fun of this man. Whereas here now, it's the thing of like, oh look, here's like this week Simon Cowell turns up to sort of draw in more idiots. When he says Pippi non-talking, I think that's become such a bad delivery that it's somehow a good delivery. So that's quite interesting. But this is the episode that proves that Maggie is the smartest of the 5. She has a higher IQ than Lisa, and that irritates Lisa. But then it turns out all this IQ test, Lisa was somehow subconsciously helping Maggie to pass or some bollocks like that. Yeah. So it's nice to see
why Cowell was a guest star, a random guest star called Henry.
Yeah, this is one of the weirder ones as well, because he's just clearly playing himself. But they couldn't have Simon Cowell running like a children's, like a baby's intelligence academy. Basically, that would have been too far for them. So they had to have him just play himself, literally in the clothing that he wears.
Everything about him.
Yeah, and then have him called Henry, and then they brought him back. They just did like an American Idol episode a few years later, and he just played himself in the same clothes, the same design character. So
continuity be damned.
Yeah, but Maggie's here dominating the league table, I would say, of Simpson's intelligence.
You have packed this, absolutely packed it, and we've got to wrap it up fairly soon. Clip 8, longest day. Have you sped up the video and put when you say nothing at all over the top of it?
Yes, this is just it's just a thing they did for Disney Plus or something. Maggie trying to escape the daycare centre, which is just basically a loose rehashing of what they'd already done in the streetcar episode with the trying to escape the daycare centre, then doing the whole Great Escape parody.
Yeah, it's a bit smolty. It's got a butterfly kind of theme going on and a twist in the tail. But anyway, bonus content. Homie is putting Maggie to bed. He holds her. Now, Maggie, the sooner kids talk, the sooner they talk back, he says. He tucks her in, kisses and says, I hope you never say a word.
Yes. This is a compilation of the times that Maggie has spoken. I'm sure there's more, but this was what Simpsons Wiki led me to. And it's not a lot over 33 years.
No. So. Next one up. Good night, says early homie. This is one of the early shorts. Tiny Maggie is in bed. The whole gang is there. And the lights go off and you see the good night being said as the eyes go in the darkness. She's sucking dummy and she's the last one to sleep and she says gaga or good night, something along those lines.
I believe she says good night, and this is the first ever Simpsons short, which means that Maggie talks the first time you ever see her.
And they retcon.
Yes.
Halloween Maggie in red bars. Halloween Maggie in red. Bart is pleading. Maggie leans in and says, "It's your fault. I can't talk."
Yeah, a couple of these were dreams, but they still count as hearing Maggie talk. So this is Bart imagining her, but she sounds very much like Sherry and Terry here, I think. But it's not his fault. He's just, going on a bit of a spiral.
Maggie is dummy out on top of brown people Willie with an axe in his skull. This is indeed a disgusting. This is indeed a disgusting something. James Earl Jones-esque line.
Yes, it is James Earl Jones. And he says, this is a disturbing universe. This is indeed a disturbing universe.
Nice.
Fun one.
Maggie takes out a dummy and says, "Daddly doodly to NF, I guess."
Yeah, our cousins have covered this before. It's when they get adopted and are going to be baptised and she starts turning into a Flanders because she's the youngest one. But
we haven't seen that bit before, right?
Our cousins have, because they speculated that Maud used mind control to get Maggie to speak.
Interesting. A tentacled Maggie once again removes dummy and says, as James Earl Jones, she has one fang. Very well. I'll drive. And then there's a menacing laugh for a long time. It's a great one.
Yeah, another trio. This is the Trieste of Horror where you find out that Kang is Maggie's father and they go on Jerry Springer. So that's nice. Just Kang's voice. I think it's Harry Shearer.
Simpsons ending. Maggie takes her dummy out and says sequel.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie, and that's the only time anybody else has heard her talk, I think. And I don't count it.
It's meta. It's non-canon. Yeah, Maggie's in daycare, and this is someone like imagining or telling a story, right? And she does this big long speech. This speech about stood alone against the daycare teacher of her time. The finger painter, the Play-Doh sculptor. She lived for herself, and this is having to go at one of the daycare teachers who's been a bit of a jagbag by the sounds of it. Yeah, this is Jodie Foster, and this is one of those sort of trilogy episodes that isn't a Halloween one. We just did 3 stories about like strong women over history, and then they threw in this Maggie bit like in between the 3 segments at some point, and clearly a direct reference to a film I haven't seen, probably a film starring Jodie Foster. I would imagine so. Simpson's kitchen. Yes, says Lisa. Yes, says Bart. Yes, says Maggie. Marge gasps, mouth open. Yeah, says Maggie.
Yeah, I don't have any context for this. I forgot. I don't know what episode it's from or why it happens, but it's cute.
What's cute or what's interesting is how shocked Marge is. She's never been shocked before at this, but maybe like you're right. Maybe it's the first time Marge has ever heard her in canon, maybe.
I believe so.
Maggie is in bed, beginning to doze. This is a callback to the first one. Her eyes open. She takes the dummy out and says, "Daddy," and she puts it back in and goes to sleep as sentimental music plays. Call back to first bonus clip.
Yeah, this was a nice way to end, because this and the first clip are the most sentimental Maggie things. And yeah, that was Elizabeth Taylor. So yeah, for Maggie, every time Maggie speaks, it's a different person doing the voice.
Nice. Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's a cool little, like, almost Easter egg to find all those ones and put them together. There's about they have to find different ways in canon for it to be a one-off.
Yeah, which is why it happens a lot in non-canon stuff.
Oh yeah, you go for it in non-canon. You kill Mullen as many times as you want. Canon or non-canon. I'll say. So here's some artwork. I've picked about 5. You can tell me which one you like the most. So this is a cutie Mr. Sparkle style Maggie with the tentacles and the fang. People like the tentacle thing, but got the one-eyed baby and a Mr. Burns and Bobo.
Oh yeah, that is very cute and kawaii, and it looks like a reference to something.
Yes, I'm not sure. This fellow Duancho style, it seems to do a lot in this style. And then we have Destination Creation, where we have a terrifying yet realistic ish Maggie. Ka-ching. Yeah. And it actually shows you on the video how he changes a picture of an actual baby into it, and it's somewhat terrifying.
Yeah, the least realistic thing in this picture is the dummy.
Yeah, the eyes start off being very unrealistic. Actually, the video goes on a bit longer, and he actually puts more detail and he makes it more realistic. But good work, Destination Creation.
Terrifying.
This one stood out from Ricardo Cavallo. And it was only when I saw the other Simpsons one that I was like, yeah, it's definitely a Simpsons reference. He's got the dummies and stuff, but it really has no relation to Maggie at all, unlike Milhouse and Edna, which are actually pretty realistic and good.
Yeah, it seems like they have aged up Milhouse and Edna as well, though. So they've aged up Maggie to be like sort of like a millennial, sort of Billie Eilish Lorde-looking kind of woman with I like that the nose ring is sort of like a dummy.
Nice,
that's sort of close to it. And she also has a SpongeBob tattoo.
She does, and some pliers. And her tattoo on her fingers says "Nope." I think.
Oh, yeah, I thought it said "Hope," but I think it does say "Nope."
It's very cool, though. Yeah, super cool.
I don't know what the eyes are about, but
this dude likes to do the double eyes and stuff like that. There's a lot of those about. Here's some pictures, random pictures of people who dressed up their baby as Maggie.
It's the easiest one to do. I'll give you that. It's horrible. The one in like the middle right, like when people do the cartoon eyes, it's horrific.
That one.
Yeah.
Look at
the Marge. The Bart is just a minion.
I like it though. I think it's good, and that's very cute. Very cute.
The Maggie and Marge are the best ones, but yeah.
Dressing up your baby as Maggie Simpson is very cute. So well done, everyone. This is a good one. You'll like this one.
Right. Is that Mo?
Yeah, it's Mo.
Nice. What are they doing?
Semi-realistic Mo. They're playing kazoos. So I don't know if that ever happened in the episode or whether it's just a thing they might like. I
don't believe that ever happened, but yes, that is very cute. And the Maggie's face is very happy and chubby and cute.
And that's the last good one.
Oh my God.
Have you seen this one?
No.
By Varane on DeviantArt. It is. Can you describe what you can see?
It's sort of like if Maggie was the baby of Jabba the Hutt, and she's just sort of huge and like that realistic mole man we looked at, but Maggie looks like a Harry Potter troll. And she's got the big chins with like the spots all over it and like the warts and the really sunken in eyes and horrific hands.
Yeah, it's not just like it's not realistic, it's monstrous and realistic.
Yeah, and this plays into this. She's sort of shaped like a slug, presumably because of her like tail in her blue sort of bodysuit.
Maybe. He's done the whole family, but this is one of the most horrific ones. There's a whole bunch of horrific, realistic Simpsons. So before we round it up, which one of these would you take and put on your shelf or on your bedroom wall?
I believe that one, the first one, the most sort of kawaii, cartoony one.
I thought you
Just because
might.
it incorporates a couple of different ideas. You've got the Mr. Burns Bobo, and then you've got the pacifiers. And,
I think these are hammers in his hands up here.
oh yeah, which is a nice callback.
She's got
And
the
then
one
she's got a fang. And the only thing missing really is a gun, but
Yeah.
there's nothing missing in terms of it being a 10 out of 10 art.
Good. Well, let's finish up with the song. As time is of the essence. Who's going first?
You.
Marvelous congratulations, Timmy to sharpness.
Dick joke.
We've come on and through the dist. The Simpson sat on the couch.
An angerity Bart, the most cheapering up.
It's smoking, frowned approaching the annual Stat Springfield Gazette.
Warmie a psycho the Moyar.
The patient falls and runs like red blood.
Paddles very quick, towards her drowning father. He splurs out water and a fish.
Tommy is shot. 2 henchmen weren't industrial, hygeny tight lips.
Cut to clankly, pretend to sleep.
Meow, baby, across the Simpsons, out you go.
Taking calf off Maggie, mo are no orble.
Philippa's eyes, scrutiny style.
Dismissally,
Scanny,
interlinge.
Wiggamish kid,
Caterpillar has entered the cocoon.
smooshed.
Soon do the amogugu.
This is indeed a disgusting univerd.
It's not Magagi's birthday.
The end.
The end.
We brought it in right on time.
Can I
Step 6.
just nip to the bathroom real quick?
Sure.
Give me a couple of minutes.
Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. You remember I'll always be true. All my love is freedom. All my love is Going to leave Springfield, they're going to another Springfield. It's the Moors and Ned Flanders sitcom starring Rod and Todd. They're going to leave Springfield, going to another Springfield. It's the Maud and Ned spin-off sitcom starring Rod and Todd, starring Ham Jr., starring Helena Handbasket, starring John Lady Ham, Jack Derrida riding a hamster, something, googly goo, reconstructing, deconstructing everything, googly boo boo, goody goo. Jack Derrida riding a hamster, coming to you to say what's what. Tiny baby boo, deconstructing everything, to you to see what's what. Demons, donkeys, dungeons and dollhouses, demons, donkeys, demons and dollhouses, demons, donkeys, something and dollhouses, demons, dungeons, donkeys and dollhouses, demons, demons and dungeons, donkeys and dollhouses, demons and dungeons, donkeys and dollhouses, demons and dungeons, donkeys and dollhouses, demons and dungeons, donkeys and dollhouses. They're going to leave Springfield. They're going to another Springfield. It's the Maud Flanders spin-off sitcom starring Ham Jr. Ta-da, Peter.
Hello.
Hello. How's it all going?
Good Christmas.
It was a good old break, wasn't it?